8 teenage girls will remain in custody until at least next week after being charged with killing a man downtown early Sunday. The accused are all between the ages of 13 to 16 and are charged with second-degree murder in the fatal stabbing near University in Front. The victim was a 59-year-old man who was staying at a nearby shelter. Police say the girls all met online and live across the GTA. Well, for more on this shocking incident, we're joined by Debra Pepler, Distinguished Research Professor of Psychology at York University. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to talk about this. I mean, this is a particularly very shocking story, and I'm curious, what do you make of this? What was your reaction when you heard not only about what happened, but specifically the ages of these young girls?
Well, it's shocking, as you're right. It's traumatic that that the dynamic took off and cost this man his life. We did observations of children on the school playground in bullying, and can understand this from our observations. And I can tell you that on a research level, I'm not as surprised as I might be just thinking about it, standing and reading the news. What happens when a group of children gets together, especially if there's an antisocial child involved in that, is that the group dynamics take off. And the more excited that children are, or any of us for that matter, the more aroused their brain is, and the less likely they are to be able to access the critical thinking areas of the brain, the logical thinking, the monitoring of their own behavior. And what happens in a group dynamic such as this is if one child initiates something and another child joins in, the initial instigator becomes more aggressive and becomes more aroused, so that they're less and less likely to think about what they're doing and use common sense in that. The other concern is that when somebody initiates an antisocial behavior like this and invites somebody else in, that child is highly likely to come in and join the interaction with that kind of invitation. So the whole dynamic takes off, and children do in a group what they not are very less likely to do when they are by themselves because of these group dynamics.
I was listening to an interview earlier this morning on News Talk 1010, and a seasoned detective of over 30 years has said he'd never seen anything quite like this in his career. Not only just the level of violence and how violent this act was, but also this was an individual who was down on their luck, who was trying to basically keep to themselves. In terms of moving forward, what kind of, I guess, interviews, what would an interview with these young girls kind of determine, especially given the fact that we learned that some of these girls just met on social media, didn't even know each other prior to this incident?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think it would be different for each of the young people. I think that some of the girls will have had a history of antisocial behavior. Apparently, 3 of the girls have had police contact already. And that means that they've been experiencing these problems, these antisocial behavior problems, for an extended period of time. And when that happens, patterns of aggression get laid down. Children learn that aggression is a good strategy for getting what they want, and they disengage. Or maybe a better way to describe it is they don't engage in a moral sense. They are morally disengaged, and that leads them to think that they're in the right, that the person that they're harming is not worthy, and that they have no responsibility for their behavior because it's not a problem. And yet we know that those types of children, both boys and girls, can be fairly easily detected in the early years of school. And there's some data on boys that there's 7 years of warning that they're going to end up in the criminal justice system by 14. So I think that the other girls that were drawn in will start to reflect on it and wonder how they did it, how they got pulled in. they'll feel a lot of remorse, and I think their parents will be very confused.
Debra Pepler, we appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.